dad was Puerto Rican and Black. So for the first time in my life, I realized that the way that I look bothered somebody. It bothered someone. The first thing they asked me is, do you speak Spanish? And as soon as I say no, it's like, I either don't get the job because they thought I was a Hispanic that spoke fluent Spanish, or I don't get the job because they don't want another Black woman. We could actually want white people and Asian people and Hispanics to advocate for our community and they're not of our community. Then why are we so quick to exclude and push away the very ones who actually know through their own experience what we go through? Whereas before, it was the opposite. It was like, oh, they want to connect. They want to connect. They want to get close to you. They want to know about you. They are curious, but they don't want other people to know that they're curious.
And that's the problem.
That's the problem.
And now part 2.
Those are those moments where I just be like, I don't question my identity. I just always wonder, like, who is going to hold these people accountable? At what point are we as a community going to hold ourselves accountable for the disconnect, the division, the trauma, and the re-traumatizing that we do to our own people? You know, at what point? So that's why we wanted to have this conversation. It's really all about how do we hold our community accountable? It's the same as racism. It's pretty much our version of racism.
This is deep. This is so deep. Oh, girl. It just reminded me of, because I travel a lot, and I met an instructor who is in a rural area. He's a white guy, and he told me about how his grandmother, who is like heavy into reading the Bible, a strong Christian, but she would still kind of refer to Black people as like,
wow.
And he told me this. He was like, I told her, I was like, yo, this is what he said to his grandmother. And he knew that his grandmother, her heart was in a good place, but this is just one flaw at how she viewed Black people. And he just said, I had to let my grandmother know, like, that's not okay. That is not okay for you to refer to Black people as like, that's not the way you even talk about them. That's not okay. So when I hear you say coming up with solutions on how we can build allies within our community, that's the story I thought about. He was really standing up for us. Like, he was doing what was right. I think that was right.
Absolutely.
Putting your own people in check.
Mm-hmm.
That was the right thing to do.
You know what, sis? I'm so glad you shared that, because that is exactly what DEI programs, when they're trying to teach people about the history of, this is why they want to remove CRT, critical race theory, and any books in the library that are from Black authors to speak of, our trauma and experience, right? This is why they want to remove DEI. They don't want white people to become educated or equipped with the ability to confront and hold their people accountable in an intelligent way. Not in a, you need to respect Black people, but no, here's why this is wrong. Like, they can actually give them facts, data. They don't want white people to be equipped with the truth, because that will make them have to be accountable. That's why what I've noticed in corporate settings, I loved the experience of witnessing people of other races become educated in a safe space.
That's right.
About our experiences, so that not so that they can feel guilty, not so that they can, do anything spectacular for us, but it's just to really equip them with the real facts of why we are the way we are, how we got this way, and what they can do to further, like, to prevent any additional harm. And that's why I'm saying, like, you guys, this is not like rocket science. We know there's got to be a reason why, aside from just saying racism, it's deeper than just racism. That is absolutely the core. When you think about the detail, it's because white people were starting to become knowledgeable about things that they didn't know before. And with that knowledge is power.
That's right.
And so they then could go and confront those racist relatives and be like, did you know that there was redlining? And some of them absolutely knew, because they were the ones that actually put the policies in place back then. So they know. But they didn't want their descendants to know. They don't want the grandkids to know. They want the grandkids to believe the lies that they told them about Black people. They didn't want so I'm going to spin that and see how that looks with mixed people. If you grew up in a household where your family talked about mixed people, called mixed people, talk about the house, like, let's be honest. If you grew up in a house where those terms were used and people who were mixed were called confused, or, they're babies of, in white homes, they call mixed couples, they call white people who are in relationship with Black people lovers. Let's just be honest. So if you grow up in a home, and this is from a white perspective and a Black perspective, mixed people are like talked about like trash. Like, you cannot be this. You got to be one or the other. But if you are somewhere in between, it's like they paint it out to be a mistake. God don't make no mistakes. No. But if you grow up hearing that, then yeah, you're going to, when you encounter a mixed person, you're going to have all these things in your head that you've been taught. And you're going to find, even if you don't have a valid reason to not like someone who's mixed, that's where you're going to pull from subconsciously. And then that's why conversations like the ones that me and my sis have had privately, it's enlightening for her. It's healing for me, but also healing for her, because if there's any ideologies that she may have had subconsciously, she has now a real testimony of someone's real experience and how it has impacted someone's life. Do you know how many mixed people probably have taken their life? Advocated for my dad, rest in peace, Dad. He didn't take his own life, but my dad had a rough life. He was heavy on drugs, young in his age, and there's no telling how much of that was linked to his exclusion from the Black community. And of course, in society, he's a Black man. You see my dad, you would know that he probably was mixed with something, but let his fro grow out. Bro had his hair was defying gravity, okay? Right. He didn't have the slick back, maybe when he was younger, but your texture changes, right? Long story short, if my dad, just how Black men's hair grow. Yes. Another race is going to know that my dad was a Black man. So again, not being accepted in society, that could have, contributed to my dad's early death. Mm-hmm. I truly believe that. And so I personally feel compelled to be a voice for him in this, just talking about the mixed race experience. I feel as though I'm being a voice for my father. This was never a discussion or never really talked about. But I say all that to say that, having those conversations that we've had, it allows for you to become that ally and you to be that voice in rooms that I may not be in.
That's what we need more of. People that are willing to listen and have open minds. Like you said, when you're closed-minded, you blocking your blessings to grow. You really blocking the community of growing.
Yes. And the access to just knowledge and resources and, mixed people, I was just telling sis, I said, I think because we are in between, I believe that mixed people are bridges between races. We are living, breathing examples of what it looks like to love outside of your race and see, if y'all want to call us beautiful or exotic. I mean, I don't like it. I do think that it could be a fetish for some people, but I think anything that's different, you could be exotic if you live in an all-white neighborhood. You become the fetish. You go to an all-white church, you are going to be fetishized, even if not sexually, just socially. They're gonna want to. Everybody gonna be wanting Sister Candace. Yeah. Can I touch your hair? Oh my God! Can I? Oh my! It's so beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh my God! You're so fashionable. They just become obsessed with what they don't know.
Right.
And so I think that this conversation really is to encourage us as a people And this goes for mixed people too. Just when you encounter people that look different than you or have a different lived experience, to just remain open, because that could be you in a situation. And you know, I think at some point, I think that I think all humans can have a situation where they were either fetishized, or they were the only one, or they were different, or got stuck in this complex identity between two identities. And I always think about LGBTQ because we're in Atlanta. So, and shout out to all the LGBTQ. I'll say that because they're human beings. They're amazing people. They add value to society. They're our brothers, our sisters, our cousins, our neighbors, you know, and they need allyship. So I try to be as much of an ally as I can. I don't understand all of the complexities of being a part of that community, but gosh, I mean, I don't want to go too personal or private, but I would just say some of the very closest loved ones that we have in our lives can be in that community, and we need to be understanding of their lived experience. But I say all that to say, when you're Black and you already marginalized, do you automatically lose your Blackness because now you are a part of this other community? No, you are still a part of the Black community, but now you're a part of this other community. You know, let's say this is the Black community. This is the white community. I hate to do the binary thing, you know, Black and white, but let's just say Hispanics and Asians are represented here too. And then let's say this is the LGBTQ community. Okay. You got these races over here, but then you got this where these come together. They come together here. But at some point, this is just one whole big old community of mixed races. So you don't think the white gay person has a different experience than the Black? Yeah, there's still some racism that goes on in here. Because just because we're in this community, there's still differences there that exist. So maybe this Black person here might need to create a Black LGBT community that's supportive of them and understand their Black experience. And maybe the white people over here might need to be a part of a LGBT community, but because they could relate. You see, but they still have their own unique needs.
We're all different,
right? So, yeah, I just wanted to use that as an analogy to show how just because you're a part of this doesn't mean you can't still be a part of that.
Yes.
And that's kind of like with the mixed experience. It's like you're still a part of, you know, I say it's the community that you were raised in, that you can identify with. But as far as your racial identity, you identify how you identify. Okay? Society gonna, you know, they gonna perceive you how they gonna perceive you.
It's up to you.
Me personally, and I can go on and on about this. We ain't even following it. We gotta, y'all, we have a process agenda here, and we going off script, okay?
We are.
But I want to make sure that I'm not missing any points. Yeah. So we talked about a little bit of the historical context. And I just want to say that, you know, going all the way back to slavery, you know, mixing of races, it didn't come from intentional acts. It wasn't like they decided we're going to have a baby with a slave. No, it just happened. You know, hey, if they could make babies and then create more slaves for themselves,
they're gonna make the babies.
Okay. And then as far as the babies that came from the rape end up being in the house, okay, and they become the house, okay, compared to those who were still out in the field, that created division. At the same time, we have to remember that was still one of our sisters, one of our ancestors that was raped. That's still her baby. Yes. You think that ancestor didn't have love for her mulatto baby? Even if they made the mom go back out in the field and the baby was still in the house, you don't think that our ancestor out in the field did not have love and want to care for that child? They pitted us against one another. They absolutely intended for us to be divided as it relates to skin color with the one drop rule, the brown paper bag test. Sis, tell us about that.
Let me tell y'all when I heard about the brown paper bag test. I heard it in regards to sororities and fraternities. So specifically, with the Divine Nine, with AKAs and like the deltas. With AKAs, I heard that if you didn't pass the brown paper bag test, then you couldn't be a part of the AKAs back in the day.
Meaning if you weren't lighter
than the brown paper bag, you wouldn't be a part of the AKA. I've heard that.
Wow.
Yes. That's where I've heard the whole brown paper bag test. Like it says here, the brown paper bag test was real. If you were darker than the bag, you couldn't enter certain spaces, even black ones, even black spaces. If you were dark, like, and then you wonder why. So that's why Oprah created that whole, she was a part of this documentary or this movie called Dark Girls. And when that documentary is triggering. But when you listen to those beautiful, dark queens, gorgeous, melanated complexions, and they just, they share how hurt they are and like their low self-esteem is very deeply rooted.
It is.
It's so deep. I mean, they hear it from their parents. You hear it from the community.
Come on now.
And then what happens? They identify as, yeah, I am ugly. I am. No, you are not. You're not. Don't. The devil is a liar. The devil is a liar.
Absolutely.
Because it is just, and gosh, shout out to all the programs that cater to young women and help build up the self-esteem of our young ladies.
Yes.
Because that is so important. Because Angie, when your self-esteem is low, it can take you places that you don't deserve to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And your identity is formed when you're very young and impressionable. Like, the things you're told. I mean, I'll say what you just said from this perspective of our more melanated sisters, right? The same is to be said about those who are like your complexion or my complexion. People, I just remember always being thought of as conceited. Little did they know, I didn't like what I saw in the mirror. I was called pretty and stuff, and I didn't see pretty. I'm like, why are they calling me pretty? What makes me more prettier than her? Like, that was never my idea. It was put in my head, but the whole time people are assuming that I think I look better than them. The whole time I'm sitting there like wishing I looked different, wishing something about me was different, So that's why I like what you said earlier, as far as we can't just assume. We have to ask, or even if you don't ask, or something like, when you see someone and if you think they're attractive, acknowledge it. You think someone's attractive. That don't mean they think they're attractive. You might think somebody is exceptional or has it going on. They might feel like crap. And that goes for anybody. I don't care what the title. I don't care what the financial status. I don't care what the social status. I mean, we saw, and I'm going to speak her name, and I will continue to speak her name. The Miss USA, was it USA or Miss America? I think it was Miss USA. Cheslie Kryst, rest in peace. This young lady, Cheslie Kryst, passed away on January 30th of 2022. She was an American television correspondent, model, and beauty pageant title holder. She actually was also a correspondent for Extra, the TV show Extra. And she did that work from October 2019 until her death. Beautiful. And I feel compelled to continue to speak Miss Kryst's name because this sister, we don't know what she went through. But the first thing everybody wanted to say when they found out that she jumped from a building in New York City to her death. As tragic as that was, a way for her to end her life. Everybody always said, the first thing they said was, she was so beautiful. She was so pretty. She was so successful, but they kept going back to, she won Miss USA. She was so beautiful. That don't got nothing to do with a person's happiness.
It's very surface.
Maybe she was preyed on.
Yeah.
Maybe nobody took her serious.
Yeah.
I can relate. I can relate to being preyed upon. For people, making me uncomfortable because they desire my attention, and I'm just trying to live my life, but because I get unwanted attention, good and bad. People could look at me and assume all the things, but not even know deep down inside I struggle with, my self-esteem. So that again, I don't know if her mom would ever see this, but I did want to just say to her mom that I saw your daughter, I see your daughter. I will continue to speak her name and in honor of her, because I do believe that she had more to say to this world, and she, her passing will not be in vain. That's an example of how society can just think that because you have this appearance or persona that life is just supposed to be so good for you. But we can't forget about those moments and how we contribute to the demise of people like Cheslie Kryst. We can't forget how we contribute. And that's why this conversation needs to be had, because in order for our community to unite, to come together and fight the opposing forces that want all of us to fail, that want all of us to be ill, that want all of us to ultimately die, whether it be through health-related issues, societal, locking our men up, putting them in jail, killing our brothers that are unarmed, hunting our people down. If we're going to overcome that together, we have to hold each other accountable and quit playing games. Like, there's a time to play games, cookouts, family reunions, the holidays, on the weekend, you kick back, have a good time. But there is a time where we need to come together and acknowledge that we can get in our own way. We could be our biggest enemy within, because we're not seeing and hearing our brothers and sisters. Look in your family. How many relatives do you have that are of multiple races? And how have you shown up for them? I was in Office Depot a couple weeks ago, and I was in there printing our stuff. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how the topic came up. Oh, my last name. The order came up under my maiden name, but then I showed up with my debit card, with my new name. Uh-huh. And that's how I got to talking about why I changed my name.
Right.
And so there was a lady there, and she said something about her daughter being mixed. Now, she was a brown-skinned lady. She's actually a little bit, maybe one shade browner than you.
Okay.
And I asked her, I said, I'm curious. Have you ever asked your daughter what life has been like being mixed? Mm. And she said, oh, my daughter's good. She won't have problems like that. Mm. I said, oh, really? I said, but you never asked your daughter what her experience has been like being mixed race? Oh, no, because I was talking about how I changed my last name because of the job situation, applications, all that. Mm-hmm. She's like, no, she never had those problems. I said, ma'am, I promise you, if you have that conversation with your daughter,
you might be surprised.
That may actually bring y'all closer together than you ever knew was even possible.
Right.
I know so many of our Black sisters out there that will talk about light-skinned women and then turn around and get with a light-skinned man so they can have a baby that got long, pretty hair that they can play with and they can use on. I see it all the time. People that I know, look, I'm calling them out. People that I know personally have had a problem with me, turn around, end up having a mixed grandbaby, and guess what they doing? I don't want to say exploiting them, but they damn sure showing them off online. Look at my beautiful grandbaby. That's my grand. Look at my gorgeous girl. Whole time. You was treating somebody that looked like her like crap because they look different than you. Now your grandbaby's going to feel the wrath of all the things you did. And what you going to do about it? That's the question. What are you going to do about it? When are you going to wake up and realize that we have the same way that our white counterparts, those who are, I can't okay, some people are not going to change, but those who, are open to changing and open to trying to, mend the brokenness that, from their ancestors, the ones that are trying to make amends, if you will, right? They feel the onus is on their generation to change the narrative. Shout out to them, right? But we need more of them. And if we expect our white counterparts to do that for us, for equality and justice, and so we can live, but within our own community, within our own families and, communities, we are literally doing the same thing to other people just because they look different than us.
Something earlier that made me want to pull up this quote said by Martin Luther King Jr. His quote was, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter." Wow. That's what this whole episode is like, really pushing.
It is. We are actually, it's like we have our own enemies within.
Right.
We cannot build. We have people that are within our community that might be mixed with something else, but they're a part of our community.
Period.
They in positions. They might have privilege. We use privilege. If we have it, listen. And I said this earlier. I said mixed people they're very empathetic because we understand what it feels like to be discriminated from all sides. So most mixed people, I can't speak for all mixed people, but a lot of mixed people that you encounter, you'll notice they're very empathetic, very understanding.
Yes.
And when you think about it, it kind of reminds me of this whole trend going on TikTok right now.
What's that trend?
Gingers are now Black.
I've seen that.
I keep crying here and there watching the outpouring waves of love from the Black internet. Now it makes sense why I always felt safer with you all, because the white folk probably would have helped me to end any sign of parole that prison of life as gingers placed upon me. Now my 6-year-old self finds healing in this uniting song. Who would have thought that the pain of a ginger will now be the healing song of Black folk?
And sis, when I tell you, it triggered me. But I'm going to say real quick, the reason why I brought that up is because the same way that gingers right now feel so supported and so seen by the Black community, in which they never experienced that from the white community. That's the same in which, mixed people, like we have not been seen by our own people. So I feel some type of way. Gingers, I've never had problems with. I still don't have any issues with. And hey, if we want to adopt them, listen, that's on the majority. If the majority say we accept them, fine. But can the majority agree that mixed people in our family matter and mixed people in our family are lovable? They love, they contribute, they help, they care. Can we look at the value that exists already in our community before we start adding people in that we really don't know what they really about? You want to be questioning light-skinned people and mixed people. You want to be, I don't know if I can trust her. I don't know what side she on. Well, guess what? If you see, maybe if you open your eyes and truly see a person, you'll see where the heart is. I've been pro-Black my whole life. That doesn't make me anti-Hispanic. It doesn't make me anti-Asian or anti-white. I'm just pro-Black, and anyone who knows me would know that. But if you look beyond that and still have this narrative in your mind that I don't know if I can trust her, what other side am I going to? Same thing with our biracial people who are of Black and white. If they were raised in a home where they were allowed to know who they were, and like their father, let's say the dad is Black. If the Black dad is making sure that they're aware and understand their history, if the Black dad is bringing them to the family cookouts and they're getting a chance to, learn about, how to cook greens and learning about auntie and learn how to braid hair, and they're picking up culture, they are a part of the community. they now can actually identify because they understand this is a part of who I am. Now, there are some biracial people out there who don't get the opportunity to know their Black family. They, on the other hand, I understand if you may question someone like that, but I would still challenge you to have empathy for them because I promise you they want to know about their Black family. And I speak from experience from being Puerto Rican and Black. Just because I don't know the Puerto Rican, culture or, history, that doesn't mean that I didn't yearn to know. But that's not a threat to the Blackness that's in me. That's not a threat to my Black community. And that's not a threat to my Black identity. It's a choice. But like I said, if you come across a mixed person who didn't grow up with their Black family, I assure you there's a part of them that wants to know and wants to be accepted and wants to know because it's a part of who they are. If they were brought up in a house where, the N word was used and Black people were, berated, there's still going to come a time where they're going to be the person being berated by their own family. And at that point, they're going to reach across the roads like I did. And they're going to have to say, you know what? I'm both. And I'm going to gravitate and I'm going to go where I'm most loved. And at this point, me personally, I know that I'm more loved by the Black community than I am the Hispanic community. I know that I'm more loved by the Black community than any other race. And that's facts. Yeah, we might have challenges, but at the end of the day, you see what I'm saying? So, yeah, y'all, this conversation, we touched a little bit about GingerTok. So sis, how are you feeling about the new cousins?
About the gingers.
Yeah. The men are handsome. A lot of the men, I'll say this, them ginger men, look, I seen one a couple weeks ago in the store and his beard was, it was given. I mean, he was well groomed, okay?
You were feeling the ginger?
Oh, he was very attractive. Very, very, something soulful. It's very soulful.
I know. Isn't Prince Harry ginger?
Yes, girl, he is. Ooh, that's somebody's husband. Let me stop.
Look!
Shout out to Princess Meghan, girl. Is she still a princess? I don't know. They don't know. They gave up their titles, but Meghan Markle, good man, Savannah.
Oh, I'm all about, let's love one another, right? But I do agree with what you're saying too. So if we accepting the gingers, we need to be accepting everybody else too. What does it say? I gotta bring up a scripture now.
Come on, sis.
Let me read this scripture really quickly. Okay, Matthew 7:5, it says, "Hypocrite, first take the log out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to take the speck out of your brother's eye." Hypocrite! That's what it says. It says that. I just feel like there's a lot of specks in our own eyes that we need to clean up. Like this is what Angie has been saying this whole time. Can we love on us before we try to bring in other people? But can we love on us? I understand that might be a little backwards way of thinking about it because it's like, I feel like the scripture is also saying like, before you try to criticize another person, clean up your own house. Yes. But I mean, in a kind of backwards way.
Yeah, to the white people. We want white people to accept us, see color, and embrace it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all we want. I can't speak for all mixed people, but the majority that I've encountered, all we really want is just for y'all to just accept us as we are. If we showing up and we loving on you, love on us. That's if we showing up and we pro-Black and we support the community, embrace us. Yeah. Acknowledge. Representation matters. And I feel like in society, like I said, a lot of times when we show up as mixed, people just automatically, white people are going to automatically put you in the category of Black. Mm-hmm. That one drop rule still applies today. When they see it, they know it. And even, listen, I don't know who's going to hear this episode. My hope and my prayer is that all mixed people, whether you're Black and, whatever, whether you're mixed with white and Chinese or Spanish and Black or whatever, Our experiences are so similar with our monoracial family members and community members. Our experiences are very similar. So ultimately, what it is that we genuinely have to understand that we talked about this. We are all, if you were born in this country, you are mixed.
Yes.
Saying that the gingers are black, you are really saying that gingers are mixed with black. And you can't jump over your own cousin that you've been treating foul for no daggone reason other than their hair texture is different than yours, or their skin color is lighter than yours, or maybe the opposite. I got a cousin who's Puerto Rican and black, and he's darker than, he's dark. I guarantee he's been discriminated, but society sees he's a black man. So he getting it from all angles. He ain't black enough because his hair texture is good. But he chocolate though. But because he got that texture, they gonna call him Felipe. You know what I mean? I'm just making up a name, but these are the type of jokes that we have to live with, simply because we got something different about us, like hair texture. As the community continues to heal and build and prepare for whatever is to come, we have to work on healing our inner struggles. And I just want to throw out some stats really quickly.
Oh, yes.
Y'all, since the 2020 census came out, the mixed race population has grown by 276%. It is actually the fastest demographic that is growing in this country. What does that mean? That means that this administration, they're aware of that. And they understand that the moment that we decide that we want to be a big old family and support one another in the struggle of inequality, okay, and injustice, the moment that we decide that, we're going to stand up against our oppressor, they know it's a wrap. The term minority in and of itself speaks to being little. Don't call yourself a minority no more. Don't even identify as a minority. I say all that to say, example, again, this is another example. Had a conversation with someone not too long ago. Not gonna put their identity out there, but this person is like my sister's beautiful caramel skin complexion, okay? And we were in a private setting, me and this person, so it was a private conversation, and they know my struggle, being mixed. And they confided in me that their grandfather is mixed, and actually showed me a picture of her granddad. And then proceeded to show me other family members that, were really, like her mom was actually my complexion. So she totally gets it. So I have an ally in this space that I was in. I have an ally, and I didn't even know. But that was really big of her. And it let me know, okay, she sees me. She intimately understands my struggle, right? And we need more of that. Quit acting like if you don't go back 2-3 generations, you got white in your family, or you got Hispanic, or whatever. Before we go and try to exclude people, we need to realize that we are still family. We are still connected.
By default.
By default. We have to take back our power, and that is embracing all of our community.
That's right.
Those that want to be accepted, though, don't get me wrong. We got to accept the ones that want to be accepted. And the young, innocent ones. The babies.
Oh, the babies.
That don't have a clue. That was me before. So that I wanted to talk about the statistics just to let everybody know that is a reason why this topic is so important. Went to the movie theater a couple weeks ago. First 2 couples I saw, interracial. Went to, Six Flags last summer. Everywhere we went, it was mixed families. Y'all, America is completely a melting pot. They don't want us to know that we are more connected than we are not. And they don't want us to know that. And the crazy part is, the mixed people like myself, we are the ones that we bridge the gap between races. So whether a white person want to have black family or not, or Hispanic family or not, y'all, you are connected. Why not? Why can't we not embrace that? And I feel like we were getting there in this administration, trying to strip all these companies of DEI. Clearly is because they don't want people being equipped with knowledge to hold them accountable in an intelligent, verifiable, statistical way. So y'all, we're going to go ahead and close this episode out. But I assure you, we will definitely touch on this topic again. If you're someone out there who's watching right now, if you're mixed, if you have mixed children, if you have mixed family members, if you just have an interest in advocating for the mixed community and trying to help bridge the gaps between our community and those within it that are mixed, reach out to us. We would love to hear from you. We would love to have you on. At this time, we're going to go ahead and close out. But before we do, sis, any takeaways?
Love, 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 love. Let's be the generation where we are not the gatekeepers, okay? Let's be the community where we embrace differences, everyone's differences. Can we do that?
Hard enough. Look, Martin King said, "Let freedom reign, y'all." When we decide that we gonna be united, that's freedom. That is freedom, okay? And that is actually Dr. King's dream, really, in action. That's it.
Oh, I like how you tied that in.
I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this episode up. So if you've enjoyed this, again, we would love to hear your thoughts about this episode, good, bad, and different. We want to hear it. Everybody's voice matters. We won't tolerate any negative, any bullying or anything like that. But we absolutely want to hear your perspective because, again, we can learn from one another. Everybody's experience is valid, but we can't understand if we don't know. So please let us know in the comments below. And like, follow, share, subscribe. And sis, if they want to be a guest.
Yes. If you would like to be a guest, listen, this is where I want you to go. It's at www.prettypurposefulpodcast.com. You'll see exactly where it says, hey, do you want to be a guest? Click on that tab and you'll see all the different upcoming topics that we'll be covering. Choose which one you want to do. Fill out that registration form because we want to hear from you. Also, if you do not see a topic that doesn't resonate with you, but you want to talk about something else, honey, please still fill out the form. And we can talk about what you want to talk about because your voice matters.
And while you're there, go ahead and click on the merch tab and support the podcast. And, you know, we have some pretty awesome merch. We are still growing. We say this all the time, but keep on saying it. It's not about numbers. It's about the impact. So the more people that we can reach, the more people that need to hear these conversations, have their experiences validated, learn. I mean, knowledge is going around these days, but you know, not everybody is receptive to everybody's message, but we might just be the podcast that a person needs to hear to better themselves, to better their life and better their community. All right, sis, before we get out of here, woo, we always want to remind our purposeful family because we love to get all dolled up. It's okay to be pretty,
but even better to be pretty purposeful.
Bye.
Wasting all my life.